Hi everyone, this is Lights Camera Initiative, back at you again this week with our first episode of Dead in Thay. The second to last, third to last, depending on if you dare attempt the Tomb of Horrors in the Tales from the Yawning Portal book. I am your illustrious Dungeon Master, Mario Vilas. These are my friends around the table, playing the same characters they've played every week. And will continue to do so until someone dies horribly. So.
Here's hoping.
You want to play a new character?
No. I want one of you to play a new character.
If y'all remember what happened last week, our heroic group of adventurers managed to defeat the evils of White Plume Mountain as the dungeon sealed itself away after the loss of all of their defenders and the escape of the wizard Caractus's new prize. After going back to town, having some drinks being celebrated as heroes, yet again, everyone fawning over themselves to look at your new weapons and to generally shower praise upon you. And there have been some low-key disappearances in the area that some people thought were tied to White Plume Mountain, but no one wanted to look too much into, just... They didn't want to piss off Caractus, so they're really happy now that you've returned, and as far as they can tell, the problem has ended. Hanging around in the area, waiting for your next lead, you've chosen to stay in this town for a little longer to recuperate. I didn't describe it that much when you first came here, but it's a pretty big town, the town of Hazaret. It started out as a small village in service to a nearby fortress, but the fortress, about 100 years ago, but about 50 years ago, the fortress was completely destroyed and leveled by a horde of angry hill giants who then left, leaving the village be. To the surprise of everyone in the village, some people think that the elder of this village, who's passed in the last 20 years or so, might have had something to do with it, but he never told anyone what that entailed or even told anyone if it was true. He acted pretty coy about it. Is from what you can gather of the place. Still, Hazaret is a nice, fairly big town, and is definitely seeing a lot of new people come in. Normal people. They've always had their fair share of adventurers, people looking to test themselves against White Plume Mountain. Now they're having more merchants come in and people looking for kind of a place to settle, because this is prime land around this place. So the people here are, again, as I've stated before, very happy to see you. On the very next day, almost by cue, seeing as one of you maybe steps outside of the inn where you have a room, you see pulling in down the street is a large wagon with a dwarf wearing like blast goggles and a long segmented beard, currently yawing at two oxen. And the magical words on the side of the wagon, Majestro's magical goods. Whoever of you was outside to see this, the dwarf leans over the side and says, "I heard you got those new weapons, huh? Any chance you'd be looking to make some trades? The boss wants to see you in the back." I'll say Squig was outside getting a breath of fresh air after blowing something up.
Happens.
We got a new shipment.
Wasn't.
Y'all interested?
I was obviously also outside,
Well, that's
rolling in
fair.
the bushes.
I'll go wake
Everyone
everybody.
was out rolling in the bushes.
I'll go wake everybody up. Let them know.
Anyone who was still asleep was woken up by Squig. What do you tell them?
What was the name of the vendor again?
Majestro's magical goods.
The magical item seller is back in town. Seems to be looking for us.
Why?
Probably to sell us more magical items.
Out of character, he said why.
I know
Oh,
he probably does. He doesn't seem the type to lie. He's probably also interested in the weapons, but that probably goes without saying.
do y'all go to meet him?
Sure.
All right, as you do, you head out. The carpet unfurls itself magically, forming steps on nothing, allowing you to enter into Majestro's wagon, which, as before, was larger on the inside. Magical goods line the shelves, and the dwarf sitting behind the counter on the far side says, "Welcome, welcome. Glad to see I caught you before you decided to leave town. I figure after defeating White Plume Mountain, your coin purchases or your coin pouches would glitter with all sorts of gold and gems. And I assume you're looking to lighten your load before your next journey?"
Oh, I already lightened my load.
Fair enough.
Probably make the next trip a bit easier.
Oh, wait, no, I didn't. I now have disadvantage on stealth.
That's true.
You're
I did the opposite. Oh, I wasn't sneaking anyway.
Magestro says to you, "I happen to have some very nice new items if you'd like to take a look. Of course, if you have anything you'd like to get rid of, we can do that first."
Yeah, let's
Bring the
sell
perception
what
up.
we got. What we have extra. All the gems that we have. Do we have any diamonds?
I thought we already
That's
sold all
We
that.
sold everything.
We sold them all.
I wouldn't imagine.
That's how we got all our
But
gold.
if there's anything else you'd like to offload.
I do believe that the diamonds you use have to be like pre-cut for
Now-
the cast.
They need to be very specific.
Emeron is getting rid of their ring of protection if
What did it do again?
also an armor class and saving throws.
Attunement?
Yeah. That's why I'm getting rid of it.
I'll take it if you don't. Fine.
Yeah, okay, you can have it.
Okay.
Oh, I still
Does anyone else have any items they're looking to get rid of?
That's what I can think of.
Maybe not.
Well, if you're not, that's fine.
I was on equipment the pure path of wound closure, although
Do you want to stop? I don't think anyone's inside yet because it's attunement.
we could sell it, although it's something useful, but
Okay. He gives it a look over.
Huh?
And
you
I,
need that.
Rob,
yeah.
want you to roll me a
Want me to roll?
I need. Sorry. Do you know what tier of item a parapet room closure is? Have you written down maybe?
It's probably uncommon. I have to guess. Or rare, it's one of the two.
Those are very different.
Yeah. Give me 2 seconds.
It's nice, but old. Really old. I'll give you 200.
For some reason I've forgotten how to spell.
We should put those.
Well, I looked it up.
Okay.
It's on.
Is there any chance we can charisma a little bit more onto it?
Yeah, you can always
Yeah,
try to have.
Can I try to say, well, this, what was it again?
Pure path of wound
Hair.
closure.
This one, but it may be old, but how many others are from White Plume Mountain?
It's not from White Plume Mountain. It's from
Wait, what?
the one before that. Yeah.
Temple of Tamawachin.
Hidden Shrine of Tamawashin.
Oh, never mind. There goes my argument.
Well, you can say how many of them were from Hidden Shrine.
Well,
Fine.
Dude, there's
I'll-
old-
I'm-
I was gonna say.
Give me a persuasion check.
I don't know who moved my dice bag.
I mean, I was gonna say it's like, does old really matter for magic?
It wasn't.
Magic doesn't just degrade.
Can I roll an intelligence?
And where'd you put my dice bag?
To see how much it's actually
Put it on the
possible
table.
worth?
You can roll insight to try to see if he's ripping you
Yeah,
off.
put that shit on the
I'll
table.
do that then.
Or do you want here? Just roll this.
I got a 12, so.
18.
You don't think he's ripping you off, and he'll say, well, I suppose that would make it something of an antique. 300, no more.
Fine.
Okay.
Something.
Yeah, just take those for now. He then says, well, if that's all you're willing to offload, I have quite the selection. Unfortunately, those horseshoes were bought in the meantime. I had a buyer from down in Ulm, a horse racer. Nice guy.
Seems a bit of a poor sport to use magic for horse races.
You would be surprised. He pulls out, very first thing is a rolled up scroll, and he says, we at Magistros only deal in the finest of spell scrolls. This one, considering how often the bards speak of your encounters with vampires, will be particularly useful. It summons down the full fury of the sun's force upon their enemies. For only 10,000 gold, I think the fury of the sun is fairly reasonable. He's willing to sell you a scroll of sunburst for 10,000 gold.
Can you write that down in your book?
I don't know if that's was just. Additionally, he still has that potion of supreme healing from earlier, and he's still selling it for 10,000 gold. So if you want the best healing potion, it's an option.
In the game.
He pulls out a bottle. It's about this big, made of clear sky blue liquid with a single fingernail that's huge inside. And he said this was extracted from a storm giant, the most powerful type. He was offering a potion of storm giant strength, which for an hour sets your strength to 29 for 25,000 gold. I know, that's a lot, but it's literally as hard as it gets. It should be affordable. The next thing he offers you is a massive black arrow. He says, this arrow, in striking the flesh of a giant, can render its life ended in one blow.
I would like that. How much does it cost?
10,000 gold. Arrow of giant slime.
I-
It's 3 arrows of giant slime.
I would probably buy them, but I'm gonna wait to see what else he's got first, and then come back with it.
Let's see. He offers you he says it's lightly enchanted, but it's of use to people who aren't the most accurate in need of a ranged sort of weapon. And he pulls out a lightly glowing javelin. +1 javelin, 500 gold. Unlike ammunition, the magic does not go away upon hitting something, so it is reusable if you're concerned.
For 500 gold?
500 gold.
Doesn't that mean that
The next
still
thing
makes
he
it unbreakable?
offers,
So like throwing it has no chance of breaking it?
javelins don't have a chance of breaking on being thrown anyway.
Yeah.
That's ammunition.
I'm
Hand
done.
axes, daggers, and javelins don't break upon being thrown.
I'm done. Because that makes sense.
The next thing he pulls out is a silver domed helm. And he says, this helmet allows you to peer into the minds of people. It's offering you a helm of telepathy. The next thing he pulls out is a rust-colored bag that he reaches in and throws out a small He reaches into this bag and he pulls out a
goat, little butcher markings on it, dotted lines. It's very peculiar.
and he pulls out a full-size brown bear.
Yeah, I think we want the bag.
I want the bag.
He pats the bear on the head and the bear goes, Bag of tricks. Yeah, great for parties.
So
Lets you pull out a random animal.
Want it?
I do too.
Nice.
Cool ass item.
The next thing he has,
How many gold though?
I'll do it after.
Yeah, right.
The next
down.
thing he pulls out and he says, "This is useful for people of certain persuasions. I will not judge. It is a ring that shields your mind. Additionally, if you were to die, your soul becomes entrapped within the ring, allowing you to be transported somewhere else for resurrection. Additionally, it prevents your soul being stolen from some sort of soul-stealing magic.
It's an attunement
That
slot.
could be.
It's a ring of mind shielding.
That's pretty cool.
You mean like Black Razor would do?
How common are these rings?
In certain places, Netherese nations, Netheril, they're fairly common. I would say they're also more common in Thay, where treachery is just more likely to happen. I've heard that the Harpers have them made in a large supply as well, being an organization of spies and ne'er-do-wells. Additionally, although don't tell anyone I told you this, I know the Centaurum recently bought a large number from a rival of mine. But they're always up to something fishy. So they are not the most common, but not uncommon to people of the Shadow Persuasion.
It would need to be removed.
Out of your commode?
The ring.
For what?
If one were to be concerned about such protection, would one need to remove the ring first?
If you were trying to steal someone's soul, yes. He looks confused for a second, and then like something seems to click in his head, and he's like, This next item is also of those of the Shadow Persuasion, although I think can be useful for anyone. And he holds up a like bluish turquoise gem that is cut in an opal sort of shape. And he says, you hold it up, you speak the command word, and all illusions are dispelled, and you see everything as it really is, a gem of seeing.
Single use or?
No, I mean, I meant to actually give a command word for him to be using in the other case.
Single use or?
It can be activated it can be activated up to 3 times before needing to recharge. And it does so at the dawn.
That's good.
The next thing he offers, he holds out a rod and he says, for those who perhaps wish to be more important than they are, this is a rod of rulership. You activate it, and everyone within a distance of you is enraptured by your every word. The next thing he offers is, and he says, perhaps for your more martial companions. And he particularly looks at the two of you as he pulls out a horn, and he says, these horns have been blown by warriors for ages past, summoning berserkers from the afterlife.
Hey.
Valhalla, to fight your enemies. This is out of character, it's a brass horn of Valhalla, which can be blown to summon barbarians to fight for you.
Oh no, someone stole Tiro's horn.
Someone stole Tiro's horn. I know, right?
He
Considering,
needs to stop losing his instruments.
And he says this next item is perhaps too cruel for one such as noble and righteous as you, but still I feel the need to mention it anyway. It was taken from the Underdark, from a drow matriarch, and he pulls out what looks like a purple rod this big, and he holds it out, and he presses a button, and 3 lashing like tentacles come out, and like strike out, and then he clicks the thing again, and they come back in, and he says, this is a tentacle rod. Drow matriarchs use them to discipline the help, or to attack their enemies. A cruel and painful weapon. The next thing is perhaps a little simple for Magestro, but we do happen to have stud leather armor of frost resistance, in case you find yourself up against some sort of white dragon, or
Been
something
there.
similar.
And
The next thing was given to us by a strange man. He said it didn't quite jive with him. And he pulls out a red candle and places it down, and he says, this is a candle of invocation. It is attuned to a deity, crafted and burned to honor this deity. Anyone who shares alliances with this deity, upon the burning of the candle, become empowered for as long as the candle burns. About 4 hours. It can be put out and then reburned. It has not been used, so you would be getting the full benefit.
Who is the deity?
Tyr. So this item is a little complicated. It's called the Candle of Invocation. It is dedicated to the god Tyr, god of justice. As long as you are lawful good and you are within this candle's radius while it burns, you have a number of effects. Let me bring up the specifics. And it burns for 4 hours. It can be put out and relit later. While you're within the radius of the Candle of Invocation and are lawful good, you...
It's like
Hold on.
like Asura's boots.
Okay.
Asura has goody two shoes.
Yeah, make them move fast.
When lit, the candle sheds dim light in a 30-foot radius. Any creature within that light whose alignment matches that of the candle makes attack rolls, saving throws, and ability checks with advantage. In addition, a cleric or druid in the light whose alignment matches the candles can cast first-level spells he or she has prepared without expending spell slots, though the spell's effect is cast at first level. Additionally, when you activate the candle for the first time, you can use all of it to cast the gate spell instead, which opens a gate to another plane and summons something through.
Do you get to choose what it is or no?
Or choose
I
the
don't know, I'd have
gate.
to double check.
Did you say you do have to be a ranger cleric to use the gate thing, or is
No.
that an anybody?
That anyone can burn it, although you have to be lawful good.
To get the effects. Okay.
Hilariously, I'm not lawful good.
Yeah,
No.
I don't know.
I am.
Well, these 3 hours, so.
It's in doubt right now.
Well, okay, these 2 are, so maybe consider. Additionally, this was given to me by the dwarven warrior Mork, and he picks up an exquisitely crafted, blue glowing hand axe, and he says, enchanted with the strongest enchantments possible. It will not return to your hand, unlike in some stories, but still, it has served him well in many battles. It is called Orc Splitter. He is offering you Orc Splitter, which is a +3 hand axe.
Nice. Throwing weapon.
Yeah,
Does
so-
it have to dwarven make?
Strength throwing weapon, so it's a strength ranged option. And he says, and last but not least, something no adventurer should be without. He holds up a simple silver ring marked with leaves all around the outside of it. And he says, put this ring on and you will heal slowly over time. It's a ring for generation.
Huh.
It requires attunement, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
I don't need it.
Are you sure, SpongeBob?
I don't need it. I don't need it.
Okay, so for all those, Scroll Sunburst is 10,000, Potion of Supreme Healing is 10,000, Potion of Storm Giant Strength is 25,000, Arrow of Giant Slaying is 10,000 for free, +1 Javelin is 500, the Helmet of Telepathy is 2,000, the Bag of Tricks is 200 gold, the Ring of Mind Shielding is 100 gold, the Gem of Sing is 8,000 gold, the Rod of Rulership is 9,000, the Brass Horn of Valhalla is 11,000, the Tentacle Rod is 12,000, the Studded Leather Armor of Frost Resistance is 4,000, the Candle of Invocation is 20,000, the Hand Axe is 20,000, and the Ring is 20,000.
Would there be some type of roll to
What does electric?
know?
And I am so sorry, but it is just sweltering in here.
What does
Oh,
electric
you're
trans?
Well, I'm saying for the...
It's
no one wants to see the DM have to fucking wipe himself off.
Would there be a type of roll to make to know the downsides to drow equipment and stuff?
There's no downside that you know.
How much?
It won't disintegrate in sunlight if that's what you're thinking. The Tentacle
That's
Rod won't do that.
those things
Oh.
are like their.
One would hope
the
that there's
Bast
room
Cloak.
to
Yeah,
say that.
their cloak of Elvenkind.
How much regeneration does the ring give?
One regeneration.
Would the hand axe be in there?
Well, it's just +3.
Oh.
It's just a hand axe, but +3 to attack and damage.
so glittery.
Rather spawn yourself.
How could she mines?
I was a dried little crab once.
Okay, for real, I I the other day decided someday,
Okay,
some
hold on.
campaign.
Ring of Generation while wearing. I said hold on. While wearing this ring, you regain 1d6 hit points every 10 minutes, provided you have at least one hit point. If you lose a body part, the ring causes the missing part to regrow and return to full functionality in 1d6 plus 1 days. If you have at least one hit point the whole time, it requires attunement. But basically, it means between combats, passive healing. You know. It's up to you. Anyone else have any questions about any items?
I'm buying the bag of tricks.
Alright, mark 200 gold off. He says a good choice. It's a fun night.
You said that I'd have to buy better armor because we can't make it,
He's not offering any, unfortunately.
so I can't even get better armor from any shop. I want.
You have 22 armor class. You're
Yeah, I
fine.
want more. I want fucking what's it called?
Terrace level.
No. That and the whatchamacallit armor. The
Everything has so
the
little
the
chance.
crit.
You wanted enchanted
more
adamantine armor? Well, you'll have to wait for me to randomly roll it. Sorry. Or for it to be in an adventure.
Well,
Not everyone gets enchanted adamantine full plate, Sid.
I can.
What is Paladin is also the same level. He still has basic bitch full plate too. I understand. I feel your
What
pain.
does Electrum
It's half
5
of
Electrum is a gold.
a gold?
Or wait, is
It's
it 2
two.
Electrum? 2 Electrum is a gold.
A single
Oh,
piece
then-
of gold.
We actually
Just
have
2.
more gold in stock than I thought. Sorry, I messed up. But I'll correct it. You guys.
I kind of want the Ring of Regeneration, but I want the hand axe more because I have to get rid of my boots.
David,
I
And
want the
think
we're-
regeneration of ring.
I borrowed money from you last time. I paid it back from the money from like when
one d
It was
1d6 every 10
4,100
minutes
gold,
to
so you have
see
more.
how many rings you get.
Okay. So anyone else interested in any of the items? He says no.
I
I am.
As long as the rings are just.
Can I interest you in these 3
Banana
magic
boat.
arrows?
Yeah.
And we're gonna get more gold. I don't know if we're gonna get more gold in the next one compared to the last one.
There's always.
How much would I, if you were to roll adamantine armor, how much would that cost me?
You're asking how much adamantine costs? It
Yeah.
says, it can vary. It's a rare substance.
Just wondering if I should hold on to my gold or not.
rare in all places.
It says low thousands, most likely,
Oh, that's not bad at all, actually.
for basic adamantine armor. I'm pretty sure I'd have to double check.
But enchanted would be probably 10,000
Yes,
at
it's
least.
gonna go up, but again, you're holding your gold on the maybe of him having a check.
True. But I would like a +3 ranged option.
That's true. Would anyone else want to fight you on that +3 hand axe?
No.
No? You're all
Nah. I can choose one.
I can't. Doesn't Wave have a ranged option?
good? Wave can be thrown, but it doesn't come back to your hand either. All tridents have the thrown property, so technically you can throw wave.
So both wouldn't come back.
Neither would come back.
You have
Technically
to-
you'd have 2, so you could throw one and then throw another. Gives you more. Or if
That-
you don't want to throw wave, and you just want one that you
Yeah.
can throw and then go back to fighting.
that requires the returning property, which does not give a bonus to attack, if I remember correctly.
Certain weapons have enchantment bonuses and the returning property, but that's certain weapons. Whelm obviously returns in his +3. The Dwarven Thrower returns in his +2, I think. Yeah. I don't think there's an axe that has the returning property in it. Which is lame. Frost Reaver's not a thing anymore. That used to be an old +4 cold damage axe that came back.
Thanks.
What's the items used to go to +10? They didn't stop at +3.
What's
Yeah.
the
Realistically, they went to +5. Artifacts went higher.
What's the range on a hand axe? Like,
Uh,
off the top of their head?
20-60, I think. 20 and then 60 for far.
I didn't write it down, but I bet that's right.
Sounds about
Double
right.
check it, but I'm pretty sure it's
Seeker
2060.
has some.
Anyway, what about the rest of you? He's looking at Orc Splitter.
I am definitely interested and willing to throw down for that gem.
Which one?
Gem scene? Alright.
Alright, good.
It probably
That, I think, requires attunement. I'm letting you know.
Oh, it does?
Take the.
We're too attuned.
I You're getting on in the game, yeah. You're running across the problem where you have more gear than slots.
Even if it requires attunement, it's still a good add.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure illusions will come up.
Yeah, 2060.
At least the Ring of Animals will never make me return.
Yep. Gem of Seeing requires attunement. 3 charges, gives you true sight for 10 minutes out to 120 feet. And it gains 1d3 charges daily at dawn.
Alright, then would he be willing to make a swap to help reduce the price?
What?
Wand of Web.
I'd be willing to buy your Wand of Web, yes.
And then we can use that to...
Wand of Web is uncommon? When
Yes.
you crafted it?
Yes. That is the one I made.
400. Not a penny more. Of course, he's just saying that. You could try to borrow it.
I have no charisma. And I would have creator's bias.
Still,
Okay. Yeah, he'll give you 400 for that, so take 400
Okay,
off
but-
5,000.
Yeah, you're the creator. You're like a hero of the
Well,
land
someone
right
else
now.
could argue on his behalf if he doesn't want to.
Okay, actually, yeah. Are you sure about that? I mean, Squig is a hero of the land, and he made this himself.
Roll me persuasion.
Okay, to talk to him.
I was gonna say maybe
Motherfucker!
Street rolling.
I should have probably
What?
rolled.
It was
She
a
rolled a
19
1.
for a moment, and then it rolled off my sheet into a 1.
And he says,
I don't know, sounds like a 19.
wow. You know what? Roll with advantage because you guys are heroes.
Okay. That's a lot better. 22.
He says, suppose I could sell it to some sort of misguided fan club up in Waterdeep.
Misguided.
Yeah,
I don't
what are you talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Squig is a fine
650.
Heal. And how much was the gem?
8,000.
Could you get a return enchantment from anything?
You want to get
I
something
don't know.
to do.
That would be like a custom item.
Not like take an item and get it
Or-
enchanted with return.
You need to go to a place like
I don't
high
think it
magic.
work like that anymore in 5th edition. It's not like you can take gear and continuously get it enchanted anymore, which was possible back in 3.5 for you to take this sword and by the end of the campaign have it be,
Hell yeah.
my
God,
very
I
first
love-
3.5 character had his very first basic longsword by the end of the campaign. He ended at level 14, and his sword was +4 shocking frost flaming. Which is a bad set of enchantments for a sword. It was really a huge waste of money, but I was so cool because I was like, yeah!
See, maybe not with those set of enchantments. That is exactly what Seeker wishes you could do.
A fire, ice, lightning sword. I was like, I'm so cool. Half the times they'd be immune to one of the things, and I'd be like, this is so pointless. Anyway, besides the point. Anyone else?
yes.
Yes?
How much, I was saying character, how much were the 2 rings? The Ring of Regeneration and Ring of Mind Shielding?
The Ring of Mind Shielding is 100 gold.
Mhm.
The Ring of Regeneration is 20,000 gold. And out of character, those seems like 2 huge leaps. Yeah, you're telling me.
So obviously by the ring of mind shielding.
Yeah.
Or take both.
I should
Well,
note, the Ring of Mind
Are you
Shielding...
gonna get both?
I should note, the Ring of Mind Shielding does require attunement, I'm pretty sure. And I know for a fact the Ring of Regeneration requires attunement.
But I feel like
It's still Ring of Regeneration is always useful to have in the back.
Oh,
burner
I
so
hate-
it's a hit.
Trust me,
feel
I absolutely
David Ring is probably
love
interested in
Rings
the
of
Ring of
Regeneration.
Mind
When was the last
Usually
time I
It'd be
other
used
useful the
effect
second
of,
any of us loses a win.
Does anybody
of,
remember
Black
the last
Racer.
time I used a javelin? A ranged weapon?
Do you want to spend the money on
Not
that?
since before
Dragon.
you got your Wand of Lightning Bolts.
I was saying character, does anyone want these rings? Or,
Okay,
I mean, I
let me
won't
look
be
at
using
Ring
them
of...
immediately.
Can I
but
see
don't
the
see the
items
harm in having them.
That he has?
Not particularly.
They're easy to carry with us.
Yeah.
They have
So
an
I'm not gonna
effect
get
that
the
will come in
hand
useful at
access.
some point.
You don't want orc gear?
Well, Wand of Lightning Bolts is my best ranged option by far.
But it may be wise to grab them nonetheless.
Yeah.
Okay, you want...
Even if I will not make use of them.
Ring of Mind Shielding does require attunement. But it is also 100 gold, so if your logic is fucking why not?
Did anyone grab the Valhalla horn?
No.
no.
Tara could use a ring
He's
of
wearing
mind shielding.
he's wearing the chainmail, isn't he?
Out of character, I am interested.
The
but
special
for
chain?
No,
reasons,
she's
I'm
wearing
not
the chain.
Oh, she's wearing.
It's
chainmail.
just a use item that recharges at dusk.
Yes. No,
Who-
actually, it has a much longer recharge, but it's very powerful. So the brass horn of Valhalla
Oh, it's super cool.
Yeah, it's super dope.
Do you want me to just tell you about it? I would never all its details.
I
We
feel
also.
Okay, so the it will summon.
Yours is brass too, right?
Yeah, it's brass. So every 7 days it can be blown. The berserkers will last 1 hour. I believe it is.
Several days. Okay.
Yeah, it takes 7 days to recharge.
Yeah, so it has a long recharge.
No attunement though,
It's just
and
Its effect is
I think it's 3d4 plus 3
on the summons.
berserkers are summoned. Yeah,
What's their stat blocks?
I feel like it's
Berserkers.
I thought it was
they're
6.
berserkers.
Based off my level.
I thought it was 3.
Yeah, 3d4.
They use the
3d4 plus 3. And in order to blow the horn, you must have proficiency with all simple elements. If you get the bronze or iron, it has higher requirements.
They use the berserker stat block, which don't
Do
know
I
off the
have
top
that?
of my head, but they're like strong
You
enough
can
to
blow
be
it.
worthwhile adds.
Okay. Yeah. So.
If you found an iron horn of Valhalla, you can blow that. Because the highest one is proficiency with all martial weapons, which you 3 can do.
And the tentacle rod does what exactly?
It's awesome. And
Like it's either that or the
I was
so the
lost.
tentacle rod.
But
QRS.
Requires attunement.
Tentacle rod. I don't know.
Protections.
It may sound a little
Huh?
We
cowardly,
have 2
which is
Yeah.
why I'm saying it out of character, but I'm a bigger
Mine
fan of the
is
horn,
used
because
all
if we encounter a fight that's
Oh.
like
I know.
too
right?
hard, then like
that sounds
Low
somebody
horn.
else took it.
if we encounter a fight that's too
I
hard,
think it was
whipping
Ed.
them like a
So I
drow
recommended it.
probably only do so much, unless it reveals that it does stat damage, which I don't think is a thing.
Okay, so the tentacle rod requires attunement. Made by the drow, this rod is a magic weapon that ends in 3 rubbery tentacles. While holding the rod, you can use an action to direct each tentacle to attack a creature you can see within 15 feet of you. Each tentacle makes a melee attack with +9 to hit. On a hit, the tentacle deals 1d6 bludgeoning damage. If you hit a target with all 3 tentacles, it must make a DC 15 Constitution saving throw. On a failure, the creature's speed is halved. It has a disadvantage on dexterity saving throws, and it can't use reactions for 1 minute. Moreover, on each of its turns, it can take either an action or a bonus action, but not both. At the end of each of its turns, it can repeat the saving throw, ending the effect on itself in a success. But again, as long as you hit someone with all 3 tentacles each turn, you can keep reapplying that effect. It racks their body in horrible pain, is like the flavoring.
Because it's a torture.
Yeah, it's used to torture slaves, but it's also a pretty good weapon in melee.
Admittedly, it is better than I could have guessed, but I
Can you
still
imagine
like
if you unstealth successfully behind someone and use that on them?
We have a +1 set of chainmail. I don't think anyone's gonna wear it. We could sell it to
That's true.
Oh,
You
yeah,
want to sell
sell
them
that.
+1 chainmail?
Yes.
Yeah.
we should.
+1 chainmail
I'm gonna
is.
grab the.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that's uncommon.
Yeah.
brass horn of Valhalla.
We'll give you 300 gold for it. You're gonna buy the brass horn of Valhalla?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else? So you were buying both the rings?
Yeah.
Okay, and he says,
So 11,000.
okay.
Yes.
So basically, from the
Looking at that lonely ass candle.
I want that candle too, goddammit. How much is that again?
20,000.
Ah, fuck.
Let me see that paper.
Yeah.
I
Are you
refuse to
also-
contribute because it does me no good.
Lawful good, lawful good.
I am.
On cusp.
I'm unlawful.
Is it kind of
As
a
of this
spell?
moment, I am not good. I am preparing to buy that potion, which, if I remember correctly, is 10,000. It'll leave
Which-
me,
The healing
With-
potion?
which will leave me with plenty of money left over. I really should get better spending more. I am willing to help because I think that candle's rad as well.
Mm.
And there's
You can also get the orc splitter
what
if
is
you want it.
the
If you want arranged, like a really good dwarf handbag, so just something out.
Just
he decided
throwing
he
that
didn't
out
want it
there.
'cause he has
For-
a lot of lightning bolts.
for character reasons? I am only going to be using Black Razor.
Fair
It
enough.
would be an admission of weakness if I were to use any other weapon.
Didn't even acknowledge it.
I can't let it. I can't let it win. I must show it who's boss. Just part of why I'm not buying the horn either, even though I think it's cool.
Well, he bought the horn, so you don't have to worry about that.
I was going to say I forgot about. Well, I'm glad he did. What I'm saying. I forgot about strength potion.
Yeah, it's
If
25,000.
it's 29, would
25.
that be a modifier of like 6?
Plus 9.
Plus
Would be the modifier.
Okay, so that's kind of cool. And that was one of the ones that was 20,000.
25,000.
25,000. Okay.
The horn's in here, right?
I would leave
It won't be under B, it'll be under H. Because it's Horn of Valhalla, but it has
not
that
as
visual
much money
stuff.
left. How short are you?
I buy the. So I should have like
So how much gold are you at?
After buying the 2 rings.
How much does it say in there?
Oh, right now 2,500 gold pieces.
Damn.
How much did you
If
get
only
recently?
it
It was 22,000?
Yeah, 22,261 gold pieces.
So you're at 24,000 basically minus 20,000. So you're at like 4,000 gold. So you're 16,000 down from the candle.
The amount that you paid me back was
4,000, yeah, 4,100 gold.
Okay. So
I am interested in the
that potion I
How
won't be able to help you. I
of
think
mind
the candle's
shielding
rad, though.
Yeah.
as well.
You want the what?
That helm of mind shielding.
Helm of telepathy.
Helm of telepathy. Sorry, yeah. Helm of telepathy sounds pretty nice as well.
Yeah, it lets you. Here, sorry, 1 second.
3d4 plus 3 berserkers.
They use the berserker from the monster manual.
Yeah, I know. That's how summons.
Oh, yeah, it's on the same page. Top left.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? Helm of
Yes.
Are you done?
I'm sorry, dog.
Yeah,
you
but
got
the
your
arrow.
own. You're done.
Yeah, I guess so.
Unless I'm good.
Is
otherwise, I'm
are
bad,
you
so-
done, Caitlin?
I only wanted the bag of tricks.
Okay.
Everything else is poopy because it requires attunement, and I already went through that pain once.
How much money
Oh.
7,000.
I want the strength.
Did you get the ring?
Okay.
Jeff?
I got,
I have it.
Got
Both
both
rings.
rings.
Oh, you have.
Did we
it.
get the
I
candle?
So you
split
bought the.
25,000
No one got the candle. He's 16,000 short on the candle.
What I would have is
Mm.
And at this point, I want the potion more than the candle
Mm.
for reasons.
What was the candle again? It was the
All lawful good people within 30 feet of it while it burns, and it can burn for up to 4 hours, have advantage on attack
we
rolls
can
and saving
spend
throws.
all of the candle to use
Or you can
gates.
use it to activate the spell Gate, which is a 9th level spell that summons something from an extraterrestrial plane.
Oh,
It's
bro,
pretty cool.
ask this sniper
But it's a
to
se-
light
but
the
it's-
candle and
it's a
have
temp
advantage
use
on all
item,
attacks
so-
by just arrowing people.
I don't really
from
like
afar.
temp use, especially when they cost that much.
You
Well,
know,
if
like
he
what?
has a,
Temp use.
if he has it later, I'll buy it. I think.
Well, I mean, temp use is more useful in 5th edition than ever before because attunement limits the amount of permanent magic items you can have going on, you know?
Yeah.
Is kind of the unfortunate side effect. So you bought the potion of healing and the potion of strength? You still bought the potion of superior healing? Or did you just buy the potion of strength?
I'm just buying the potion of strength because I don't have enough for both.
Okay. I was just curious.
I'm gonna sell the other ring of protection anyway, because I can't attune.
Once we get that.
I don't know what the price it gave me for it was before,
Besides,
but it was like
from
it was 300.
Carrie living here, she has the
the
Velcro straps
potion
already
of-
on the door,
I
so
saw
you have
those.
to do this.
I'm pretty sure ring of protection is higher too.
I would use tax though. I would tack it in
Okay.
just to make sure it doesn't come off.
Well, I'm gonna try and sell it then anyway, because I can't.
Okay, well that could in theory take the cost off an item. Or you
I
can split up
can't
the life.
wait to use the horn.
Remember, it takes 7 days to recharge.
I know. I'm gonna save it for the perfect moment where we kind of need it.
You and what army?
Who wants to roll me 2d10?
I'm not gonna take any random chance.
Alright, roll me 2d10. Or, he's technically selling the item, so you can roll me 2d10. Roll.
okay.
Don't roll bad.
38. I assume
No,
that's not
3 and 8?
30. You said 2d10.
2d10, yeah. And I need them separate. It's,
A
I'm
3
not.
Oh.
and an 8.
Yeah, he didn't say roll percentile.
Oh, then a 3 and an 8.
Okay. He looks at the ring of protection. 11,000.
Ooh. Nice.
I'll roll insight again. I guess. Just for the hell of it. 11.
It's a little hard to read if you think you got a good poker face. But you don't necessarily assume he's automatically ripping you off either.
I don't think he would want to anyway.
I mean, he's probably trying to make a profit off of this. He is a merchant.
Yeah.
But if
Fine,
someone
okay.
wants to argue for more,
It's his livelihood.
if someone wants to roll a persuasion check to argue that the ring should be worth more,
The ring of what?
the ring of protection.
1,000
Are you
more.
selling
so
the
we
ring
can
of
split
protection
it
I just gave you?
I don't have enough attunement slots.
Okay.
You motherfucker!
Do you want it back?
Don't
What?
buy from him!
It's the one
I
that
will
gives.
roll persuasion
What
for
does it
that.
give again?
It gives +1 to armor, class, and saves.
And he's gonna buy it regardless. There's no persuasion roll that'll convince him not to.
Do you want it back? I'll give it back.
Now,
I'll kill you.
Something
Does it
like that,
might-
Emeron. Didn't know it meant that much to you.
something that might be worth considering. If you're interested in helping somebody buy another item with the sale, making the argument, hey, I'm about to turn around and spend like that money and then some at your place. Do you want to maybe, what's a couple more? If like you were going to
Do you wanna
buy
do that?
something else.
I'll do that.
Alright.
Although I don't
Well,
exactly
say
want
it
to
and
sell
then
it if
roll
Emeron
persuasion.
is gonna be mad about it.
Is
Well,
no
Are
one's
you using it to help other people?
Yeah.
Then okay.
All right.
also no one's
Uh,
using it. No one's gonna
Yeah,
use
that's
it.
why I gave it to him because he said he'd use it.
Because originally Emeron was
I
going
was
to sell
gonna
it.
use it, but I remember I have a scimitar of speed. I'm attached to the cloak of Elvenkind because of my deity, and I'm not giving up the braces of archery.
Well, you should have thought about that before saying don't sell your ring of protection. I want it.
I'm sorry.
I want to sell my ring protection.
13 for persuasion. We've been spending a lot of money at your store anyway. I think you can afford to be a little generous for future customers' sake. You know,
Can't you
If you're buying something.
we are gonna buy something else from you.
Okay.
Can I
Then
give
how
you
about
guidance? I'm sorry.
what were you going to buy?
Can guidance work on that?
Yeah, you can give guidance, but first answer what were you going to buy?
What is it you want?
oh no,
He
I don't
still
want
wanted the
anything
candle.
else.
Oh,
And everything else has already been bought and tagged.
we're interested in that candle you had, but it's very expensive, you know.
He says the ring and 5,000 and they'll give you the candle.
That's
Deal.
a deal. That's
Oh
a
wow,
4K deal.
that's pretty cool.
So hands you the candle and he takes the ring and he says,
Cool.
Enjoy your candle.
I have a noble woman in Netherrealm that has your name on
Thank you. That's what it says.
it. He bites the ring real quick and then
I want to make sure.
puts it away.
Scandalous. The woman, not the candle, or not the ring binding.
Does that particular one have a tail attached to it?
Proposed with a ring of protection.
Being
Who
female, how scandalous.
Who
No, I
took
mean
the other
proposing with a
one?
ring of protection
What?
or gifting.
We had two
That
ring
would
of
be a neat
protections.
proposal.
The one I just sold was Emeron's ring of protection. Someone else has a ring of protection.
Is it?
It's you.
That's right.
Because that was the one that you took off of. Remember the, oh no, you have defeated me.
Yeah.
That was where you got the other ring of protection. You had a ring of protection and a ring of
Was
spellstorm.
were his
and a
were his rings based off of
You got
rolls
that
or
ring
just
of Spellstorm, right?
the
Yes.
dungeon, the genies?
It's got two
You mean the
mirror
Oni?
images.
The two rings he had were on the thing. They were listed.
I was wondering.
It
if
said
they
a ring
were-
of spellstorm with 2 mirror images and remember, those of you with rings of spellstorms, you could have got them changed in the downtime between now. So if you want to go through,
I want those mirror images.
I completely
oh remember you have
forgot.
one more slot for souls.
Yeah, you can put
Now if you want to put another one in
Or
there,
you can have someone put shield in there if you want to.
right? It doesn't have to be on your spell list. Someone else can put it in.
Cure wounds,
Well,
featherfall,
cure wounds is
Whatever
already.
you
I'm saying if you
want.
want shield or magic missile or
thunder wave.
How?
Haste.
Sure.
he's the
Sorry.
safest third.
Lie.
I'll actually take a shield in there.
Okay, you take shield. Well, she's just looking for the last slot, the last for single slot.
Well, well, you already took shield, but there's a sword of elements.
There's a lot of first levels that
Well, anyway.
are available to you.
Less.
And I assume you refilled yours
There's plenty of
Yeah,
stuff.
I'd forgotten, so I haven't out of character done it.
Yeah,
So you don't like that rod of worship?
I'm just
Just for some reason, I automatically thought you would want that.
If we get into combat, then
Thought
I'll
about
just
it. How
default
much
to what I
was
had
the
last
rod
time.
again?
The rod of rulership.
10K. Worship.
Rod of rulership.
Rulership,
Oh,
not
worship.
worship.
Worship order.
Do you know what it does?
9K. I don't know what it does specifically.
It is interesting from what I remember.
Makes people like you, listen to you with rapt attention.
If
The mechanical effect, I'm sure you'll be told in a moment. But that's what he told you.
Yeah, I remember that. I want the follow-up description.
the less expensive
Rod of
item-
rulership requires attunement. You can use an action to present the rod and command obedience from each creature of your choice that you can see within 120 feet of you. Each target must succeed on a DC 15 Wisdom saving throw or be charmed by you for 8 hours. While charmed in this way, the creature regards you as its trusted leader. If harmed by you or your companions are commanded to do something contrary to its nature, a target ceases to be charmed in this way. The rod cannot be used until next dawn.
DC 15
One
is
use per dawn.
1 use per day, but it's 120 foot. Everyone listen to me for 8 hours.
Charm. Every 120 foot radius charm.
Yeah, you click the rod.
15 DC. It's not.
Oh, right,
You're
that's
like,
what it was
you
like.
all obey me.
If I had the funds,
I do have.
I'd just be like so many friends right now. I'm 2,000 short of that.
Bummer.
That's okay. If it requires attunement, then
How much would a potion of flying sell for?
That's true.
Potion of flight.
Remember,
smacking
requires
myself in
attunement.
the neck.
You'd have to unattune something to use the rod.
You only
I
have
know.
3 things attuned.
I'm just trying to see if I can make sure the flying is like. in my opinion,
Why can't I hold this single pencil?
Probably like a couple hundred gold.
I don't know if I want to spend 9k on something and have to reattune my wand. To the
It only takes an hour though.
Well, the
Like,
thing is, he thought
any
he'd have to
effective.
give up something, and he doesn't want to give up the one of lightning bolts.
Oh no, I'm gonna let you know right
I
now.
could probably give it the boots of speed, if anything.
Do you want to?
Double your movement speed, and you can't be attack of opportunity.
Yeah, but it's really good.
No,
How
I was thinking
much?
about something else.
I'll keep those boots until you get the armor you want.
If I
Well, basic enchanted armor doesn't require attunement. +1, +2, +3 full plate. That's all free. That's all free.
Mm-hmm.
Teleporting
can't
doesn't
get
provoke
it.
an attack of opportunity,
No,
does
it
it?
does not.
You're not moving
Much
out
as
of
I
their
want to.
range.
Just saying.
Did you want to try to sell the boots and try to buy the roll? Because you can do so.
I wouldn't want to sell the boots.
What if there's an adventure that's just not Goil's quest?
Okay, well,
So
yes or no? Because you move on to the next part.
No, it's fine.
Okay. And he says, "It is a pleasure doing business with you.
yeah,
As
Now,
always.
I need to count my gold." And he waves you off, and you all leave.
Good day.
And over the
Sure.
next couple of days, you have a bit of free time. By that I mean most of you have free time.
I may.
Not all of you. Not enough time to craft. Now, does everyone remember? Or does that? I should say, does anyone need a refresher on stuff you can do at free time?
Yes.
Okay.
I could use a tiny bit. I mean, no, I already got it. It's like
So, you can carouse.
You mean
You
schmooze?
can- Sure, you can schmooze, you can gamble that shit, you can pit fight, you can relax, you can perform religious service, you can research, you can scribe a spell scroll, you can, that's already part of what we just did, you can train, you can work in order to get money, and those are just some basic stuff. Additionally, you can attempt to set up some sort of stronghold as well. However, while you all decide that, there is a bit of free time that is taken. Card. About 2 days in, you hear something. A voice coming to you from just outside your room. And as you start to head out, you didn't see them before, but suddenly a man appears. He is you don't know how he walked out of the shadows so stealthily. He's about 7.5 feet tall, centaur. And you know this man. His name is Jareth.
Okay.
Jareth is, I guess by now he wouldn't be your superior anymore, but he was when you joined the Celestine.
Mm.
He's a hunter and a spy master. He says, Carac,
Yes.
we have something for you.
What is it?
It's a job that needs doing. And it has to do with you specifically. You know how, I'll explain it on the way. But we should get Emeron and we should head a little out of here.
Okay.
You
Give
must.
me 1 second to gather him on.
You must kill Emeron.
Gather.
I'll go find Imran wherever.
When you find Emeron out rolling in some leaves.
Okay.
Checks all the bars first. Finally finds him in the bushes.
It was second on my list.
Perhaps it should
Okay.
be first.
You find Emeron?
It should be from now on.
And then, yeah, I guess so. And then we'll go meet up with Jareth. And I assume he wants to like head out of town a little bit or something.
He tells you to meet him out behind the inn.
Okay.
Emeron, you are grabbed by.
Why?
We have a job.
I thought we were done being manhandled.
When is that ever over?
The two of you are brought out behind the inn where Jareth is waiting. Jareth says to the two of you, "Alright, there's a beast near here. We want it removed. You're who has to do it. And Emeron, you're going to support Carac as he does so. It's a sort of hunt to prove your loyalty, not just to us, but your homeland.
Okay. What kind of beast?
Your original homeland.
Slowly draws
Perhaps I
knife to
should
stab everyone who's
explain.
not my race.
Chill out.
Alright, Jiraga. And he says, no, across the moon sea. Your original family got in contact with the conclave. They have something for you. But you must prove yourself to it before you can continue serving our interests.
Just tell me what needs to be done.
Alright. He begins leading you out of town. Due to your ranger senses, you actually know he's leading you towards the Knoll's skull.
Okay.
It's about a 3-4 hour trip. And he says, in this thicket there's a beast. Serpentine, large, possessing of many heads. It must be slain. It killed an important elven noble, a traveling dignitary, and took from him something that should be your keepsake. It is said that across the moon sea, the elves have weapons that are handed down between family lines. These weapons are powerful, and they choose their wielder. If the wielder is seen as inadequate, or their family disgraced, it will reject them. Only by defeating this monster will this weapon accept you. You must fight with your own strength of arms, but Emeron can support you.
Okay.
Are you ready?
As ready as I'm going to be.
Alright.
Out of character, can I tell what kind of creature it is? You want me to roll?
Oh, it's a Hydra.
Well, okay.
You know.
Okay.
He leads you down into a thicket to fight a Hydra. Now, Jareth makes it very clear that Emeron cannot attack the Hydra, or the weapon will reject Carac.
Right.
But you are able to do anything else to help Emeron that you see fit. You just cannot strike the Hydra.
Or do anything that deals damage to it?
More or less, yeah.
Hmm.
So,
Simple enough.
while that is happening...
Guidance.
Well, you can guidance him before it goes down to the mission bonus.
Guidance him every turn.
No.
But it only does ability checks.
Yeah. For the rest of you, did you need a repeat on that list, or do you have something in mind? And I'm going to switch it up and start with Rana.
Okay. I believe the carousing is what I'm looking for, because I'm looking for leads on formidable people who would be willing to fight to the death.
Well, I'll leave it up to you. You can carouse for leads for formidable people who will fight to the death. Additionally, you can make a modified pit fighting check to just find a underground kumite to fight to the death, blood sport kind of deal, and do that instead. It's up to you.
I considered it, but at this moment, I am not in character 100% cool with what I am doing.
Okay.
Which is why I'm opting for the sneakier route.
Okay. Thoradin, what are you doing?
What's on research?
So research is basically like a super intelligence check that you do over multiple days to find out information about something. Usually information that would be very, very difficult to come up with a normal intelligence check. So like figuring out where a certain lich's phylactery would be a bunch of research checks. Because you're not just going to know that.
Yeah.
It's to represent like deep information gathering, or like to figure out a dragon's... Figuring out Smog's weakness would have been a research check.
Figuring out where that wizard
When Gandalf goes back to the tower to read through all those scrolls, research check. Everything Azusa does in Soul Eater, research check.
She could just do it.
That
really
isn't
fucking
being
fast.
turned into a crossbow and shot at someone is a research check. That's being turned into a crossbow shot is something not researched. So yeah, you could research to find a piece of particular lore or secret information.
What about my master spellbook? Could that work?
Yeah, you could research to find out stuff about your master spellbook. Going for the plot threads.
Yeah.
Okay.
Start pulling, see where he takes us.
All right, Squig. What to do?
Would it be possible, if it's widespread or not, trying to spend time to dig for that disease from the beginning of the game and wiped out clan, like find more information about it, if
Yeah,
it's
you can roll a research check
man-made
to-
or something, or
Sure.
it's being used as a weapon or something?
Yeah, let's see why not. And Asura of Astoria.
Which one was the what's that one I did last time? Called?
Religious.
Religious service.
Yeah, more of that.
Okay.
Stack down fight favors ones.
Well, I mean, I guess I could carouse, like, with the higher ups.
Well, it's up to you. It's
Yeah.
whatever you want to do, whatever you feel like, bro. In the meantime, Emeron and Carac head into the Knolls thicket. It is not that long before you find the lair of this Hydra. Almost as if it aggressively wants to be found. It's at the deepest part of this thicket, half underwater. It's like it's sleeping in about 5 feet thick of water, but it doesn't all sleep. Roll me a nature check, either of you. You actually know as you're approaching on it something.
I have to rely on Emeron.
I got 19.
Okay.
Okay. And what did you get?
I rolled the natural one, but if you want the total, it is 5.
Okay. Emeron, you in particular know that a Hydra never actually sleeps because some of its heads are always awake. So it's almost impossible to catch it sleeping and like sneak up on it. So if you want to pursue it stealthily, you're going to need to actively stealth up on it and not just, because normally in hunting, you try to hunt a creature by going to where it is while it's sleeping and getting the first strike that way. It's just with a Hydra that is impossible. One of its heads is always awake.
Alright, then I'll warn about that.
So if you want to try to sneak up on it, you're going to need to actually.
Yeah.
Now, just for a general layout of the land, it's like a half. So the thicket eventually feeds into a bunch of I forget what it's called, but when there's like a bunch of small rivers that eventually go into a big river that is connected to like a kind of lake or marsh.
Okay.
There's a specific name for that, like kind of cross section. Yeah, it's something like that. So there is a small like the bottom of the thicket has water, about 5 to 6 feet deep of water and roots, and in the center of a bunch of trees, surrounded by like a small it's not a mountain, but it's like a bunch of rocks basically.
Yeah.
And you're approaching from the rocks because the rocks lead up to the hill that leads up to the actual the knoll's head, which is that place where you were told you could leave your valuables.
Okay.
So you could approach it from 2 ways. You could approach it from the rocks, which will give you a height advantage, but rocks are a little noisier, might make stealth less viable. That being said, you're very stealthy, so probably won't bother you that much. Or you can head in from like the kind of like river area, which will be more difficult because the water is about 5 feet deep.
Yeah. I rolled really bad, but would Emeron know if these things are especially aggressive? Like if I attack it, is it going to charge towards me? Or is it
hell
gonna try
yeah.
and okay.
You know, Emeron, I mean, you've heard that Hydras are very aggressive. Emeron, you know a bit more specific of knowledge in that you know that Hydras were created when a god, when a dragon's god blood was spilled, and the blood sprouted into Hydras who knew only hunger, and the only emotion they have is hunger and anger. They're always hungry, and they hate fuck anything that comes near them. And I don't mean the actual sexual way. I just mean they attack.
It's
They throw
just
all their
angry.
heads. Yeah.
Okay.
It'll just, and if it takes too long to find prey, the heads will start attacking each other and try to eat itself. Because all it is hunger and hate.
It's called a confluence.
Yes.
These heads, they'll eat each other. Not even when the chips are down. Normally.
They're just like that.
So,
Yeah.
Do
So
damage
yes, if
themselves?
you attack one of them, they will certainly hunt you down.
Did you
And
bring
they are willing to
stickers?
chase. Now, they are a little lazy. If you run far enough away, they will give up. It's not like they'll chase you to the ends of the earth. They,
They're not a
they're
bull shark.
aggressive, but they're not bull shark.
Right.
They're aggressive, like the most aggressive of condors. Very aggressive, surprisingly spiteful for a big bird, but it's not going to chase you forever. It's a condor. It's better shit. It could be sleeping instead.
I got you.
Hit it. Run
Uh,
away.
Guardian
Wait for it to
Fury.
stop chasing you. Hit it again.
Or a lion. Lions don't chase you that long.
do
They're too big.
I know about its weakness in character?
Weakness?
The fire and acid.
Emeron does know that its heads, upon being cut off, you have to do fire and acid damage or that will generate. And again, you can avoid that by avoiding slashing weapons as well. Because it's slashing that cuts its head off. So if you shoot it with
Okay.
arrows, you should be fine.
Oh, okay. Alright.
But if you get in there with your scimitar,
Yeah.
you might want fire.
I can't help you by casting Flame.
Yeah. Oh, because it's soft only, basically.
If I let
Yeah.
go, it goes away.
Yeah.
Um.
If only you had elemental weapon, huh? Oh, I think that's a third level spell.
It is.
That's
But
it.
everyone usually has magical weapons.
That's true. But the extra elemental damage is.
I
Okay.
will pull.
Also, it can be used on ammunition as well.
Arcane weapon is first level. And you get to choose the type of damage that it's enchanted with.
But you guys are clear.
I'll pull my hood up on my cloak of
Arcane.
Elvenkind, and I want to sneak within 300 feet of it.
Okay, you start sneaking closer. Roll me stealth.
I'm gonna give you freedom of movement, but I'm gonna hang back
Get
and
money
wait to
for
hear the
pit
battle
fights.
start.
Alright.
Okay. You guys
I
feel a
have
little bit
a
on card.
disadvantage on stealth.
Gladiator, I can earn money normally.
Alright, so for the rest of you, you were carousing with high-end carousing to find assassination targets? Or am I misunderstanding?
Not assassination targets. I'm going to carouse with high
They're,
people
like, everywhere.
by the logic that either, because I've probably met one or two pompous rich people who are like, I duel, and
Oh! So you want to
as
do
bad
like
as
an
it's going to
ultimate.
sound, kind of.
Okay.
As bad as it sounds, it feels a little better at this point in my life if it's a pompous noble who duels. Alternatively, an adventurer, though I don't think about it like this in character, but out of character, some beer smashing adventurer who's like, I got a pile of gold, I'm rich, I'm crazy.
Yeah, sure. You
I
can
would
totally
If
find.
you kill them,
Oh, no,
you
no,
get
no.
their stuff.
Secretly, I would prefer, or granted, yeah, there we go. Would prefer first over the second. Either works, or
Yeah,
hearing
that's-
about.
That's fine. Let's do some carousing. I think you make a persuasion check. Is what I had last time.
I did
not
carouse.
No, you did. You did low carousing.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
true.
low people.
Carousing was very popular
I
last
did
time.
bar carousing.
You can
Yeah,
make
you
a
You made it.
charisma persuasion check.
Me too. I'm
Yeah,
pretty
you
sure
got
I'm
one.
friends with the Thieves Guild now.
Yeah, Emeron is friends with someone from the Thieves Guild and also a Dragon Lady mercenary.
Oh, yeah.
I got 4.
The Sable Eye is what they're called. If you're curious, is the mercenary group.
Sounds neat.
Sweet.
Was that Ghost
No, sorry. The Sable Eye is the Thieves Guild. The Grail mercenary mercenaries are the mercenaries. Greil.
I found a holy grail.
It's true.
Maybe
So,
you could take a
I'm
sip.
sorry. What'd you get? 4. 4.
Pretty sure she gave me
But you
one
can
away.
make yours with advantage because of your recent Caracs. Sure. So,
21.
21.
Bitch.
Okay.
Boy, is it.
Aren't
21.
You can get right now.
Okay, and you're looking for someone to duel. So you head to a high-class establishment in the city. There is a sort of there's an inn called the Three Lions. The Three Lions is the nicest place in town. You're not going to find drinks there for any less than like 2 gold, which is a lot for a goddamn drink. You're getting the toppest of the top shelf here, and it's a very nice, ritzy place. There are bards telling tales. This beautiful elfin singer. The whole place has a kind of stuffy air to it, though. That being said, you are recognized. There is at least one person, like an elven man, who leans over to a gnome woman. So he's leaning pretty far. He says,
Gnomes. Yeah, right.
and the gnome woman says, "Are you sure?" And the other man says, "The blade upon her back, that's Black Razor." So it would seem. They're not making an attempt to be that quiet. The first man mostly seems to be in awe of you, though. Or maybe it's Black Razor. You're not sure.
Either will do its job.
Additionally, you see a... you see at least one person who looks familiar to you from somewhere. You know you've seen him before, but you can't... It's like it's from your past, and you think about it for a little bit, but then when he makes a motion towards you, you don't know his name, but he is a diplomat from Ulm. He was actually at one of your very first gladiatorial bouts. You remember after you struck down the person you were fighting, you turned around and he was sitting in the booth with one of the lords of Ulm, of the Diarnis, not Diarnis, from one of the noble houses. He seems to recognize you and gives like a homage salute, which is like a finger in thing and then out.
I will nod back.
He goes back to his drink and his conversation. He's currently talking to a dwarven man who doesn't seem to pay you any mind. He seems to be really deep into like a story he's telling. Looking around thinking, man, there's not going to be a place where I could find someone to duel. This place is way too stuffy for that. You actually hear the sound of a table crashing and someone like yelping in pain, and you think, this is my ticket. You head up to the top floor. It's a 3-story establishment, and you see a elven man holding a rapier, currently coated in blood, a human male holding in a bunch of his blood as it seeps through his fingers, and a dwarven man attempting to like heal him as he's like coughing and sputtering. And the elven man turns and says, "Really? Is this the best challenge you have? I suppose I shouldn't have expected any better from a human. I spent more time training in dueling than you've spent alive, whelp."
Oh man, nothing worse than a racist elf. Kill him.
I actually would like to take that
You mean
moment
elf.
to cut in and say, then I should be no problem. I'll fucking push.
And he turns and he says,
I'll push with my body, but not with my hands, because look who.
and he says, "Excuse me, who are you?" And at this point, and he seems to say it like not as an insult, like he legitimately doesn't know who you are, when the dwarf looks up and says, "How do you not know who that is? That's Grenna, the woman of the Winding Way, Dragon's Bane, the taker of Black Razor." You hear a call from far back. There's a bar up here too. You hear from a far end of a bar, a familiar voice says, "I have 100 gold on Grenna." And you look and it's the orc from the auction. The one you met in the last time you crossed.
Hey.
He nods. And the elf turns.
Only the last part's important. And I will fucking draw Black Razor.
He doesn't seem to recognize it, much to the incredulousness of the dwarf, who's just like, "Are you serious?" Even as he's trying to put this guy's blood back in him, he's like, is this guy an idiot? And
If you won't rise to the challenge, say the word now.
So, you do it. Yeah, I guess roll initiative. I mean, or actually, let me do something real quick.
Okay. Like I'll hold what I got, but there you go.
Okay, actually, I'm going to use the modified pit fighting rules for this. And I am going to say that I need you to make me 3 checks. A strength athletics check, a dexterity acrobatics check, a constitution check that is basically a d20 plus you roll one of your hit dice. It's not actually expended, you just roll it and you gain half of what that hit dice would give. So your hit dice is a d10 plus 5, so and I need you to make each of those checks. However, you can replace any of these checks with an attack roll with your weapon, if you'd rather that instead. Although I think you can only do it for one of them.
Before or after I've rolled it?
Before. So if you want to replace that acrobatics check with a weapon attack, you can do so.
Which
Oh,
I mean, technically you can do any, but since the acrobatics is the
spoilers,
lowest
that's
one.
probably what I'm gonna do.
Right, I figured.
That's a neat way to do it.
So yeah, so give me the first check.
I think it'd
It's going to be a
better off fighting.
strength athletics.
Okay. That's 27.
Okay. 27?
Yeah.
Alright, now give me the weapon attack.
Very well, Lawyer.
Just like you're making an
That
attack
is
weapon,
27, but I was wondering if I could. Actually, no.
Okay.
That's
so. And one more. And that is the a d20 plus a d10 plus 5. Okay. So actually, just roll me the d10 plus 5 first, because it's a little complicated. Okay, so 9, half, so 4, so a d20 plus 4.
Okay. 15.
Alright, cool. Alright. Oh, alright, no, that's cool. So, the fight goes like this. He immediately aggresses towards you, attempts to stab you in the throat. You push it to the side easily, knocking him off balance. You swipe at his midsection. He, despite all of his bluster, and you would imagine he might fold a little easily, he's a skilled duelist. He's definitely not complete talk. He's pretty good. But you're better. He does block the blow, but he does not block the follow-up blow to his shoulder. As you strike into his shoulder and draw blood, the blood pounds in your ears and you hear, yes! As Black Razor seems to pulse with dark energy. It doesn't actually, but in your eyes it does. Or if it does pulse visibly for everyone else, no one else reacts like it does. You swing again. You push him back. He attempts to flitter away from you, but you actually manage to catch him and force him down to a knee. You bring it down again, and he tries to bring it up to block. And with each successive block, he gets 3 or 4 blocks. You're just pushing down on him to the point where he's holding onto a stool to try to force you off of him. And the last blow, you just bring it down and you cut him from shoulder down to here. The top part of him just falls off to the ground as Black Razor is the soul is sucked in. He is defeated. Black Razor releases a in your ears. And the orc looks up and says, "Thank you." Pulls 100 gold from the bartender, and then thinks to himself and says, "Actually, get a drill for my friend." Hands it back. The dwarf holding the bleeding man looks up and says, "Good on you." He's a bit of a posh prick.
Hooray for murder!
Now,
It's okay if it's rich people.
the bartender says, I take it you've been here before? As if you hadn't, you might have just, wanted to check before murdering that guy. Thankfully, duels to the death here are allowed, so... I'm just saying, next time you might want to check first. The orc says...
Put it back.
The orc says, nonsense, I'm sure she heard about this place from its reputation, right? Grenna, come here. Let me get you a drink.
Sure.
As he does, the dwarf and the human man who's recently been healed get up as well. The dwarf introduces himself and he says, "Hi. My name's Xander. Xander Thunderhammer. Nice to meet you. From Clan Thunderhammer.
And
His name is
Not sure if you know how
hilarious.
dwarves
Take
work.
it.
I'm more like he.
Call the girls.
I've lived with
call me
dwarves
Xander
before.
the Hammer.
Xander says to you, and he says, "Now, Grenna, I've heard all about you since you started in Om. About you slaying that dragon, about you defeating the White Plume Mountain and obtaining Black Razor. I never thought I'd see it, in the flesh.
Well,
I was just telling to my friend here that I would be worried that any of you would be attacked for your weapons, but it seems like you can handle yourself. Speaking of my friend, and he pats his friend on the back, who kind of clutches at his wound, which has been healed. He's still like, ow. And he says, "Hi, I'm and he looks like at a loss for words, and his friend hits him on the back again. He seems really nervous talking to you. Like he's not sure how to talk to someone famous, because he just kind of freezes up, clutches at his chest some more, and then he says, "Oh, Ike, yeah, my name's Ike. Nice to meet you, Grenna."
it looks like you have some practice to do, Ike.
Yeah, I guess.
Damn.
I didn't really agree to a duel, actually. I more just said that he was being kind of rude, talking down about the smell of humans, and he said, and Xander takes over again, and then he said, "Oh, so it's a duel then," and attacked him. The bartender says, "Well, he pays a lot here, so management lets him get away with some stuff. It's probably good you came by when you did. He was driving off some of the other customers."
I will turn to Ike and I will say, quite unreasonable.
But you're right. I do need to practice harder if I'm supposed to be a knight. My father said, you don't care. It's fine. And he actively, it's not just me wiping sweat. He also wipes sweat from his eye as he says,
I was gonna say you're probably in
I'm
character for Ike right now.
My father, my father's a lord from Baldur's Gate, and he wants me to be a knight, and I wanted to be a librarian. He didn't. He said, "No, son of mine. You know how it is."
You should squire him.
And I've been practicing. My father's given me good teachers. I just don't like hurting people.
You might do better off with Emeron.
That's not necessarily the old. I'm not there, but that's not necessarily the old job.
I like horses, so it's not all bad, I guess.
Oh, never mind. Knock him out 5 times. They don't want to hurt people.
You may do better to find a way of confronting your father.
Oh,
You won't get a second chance.
I don't
if
really
someone
like
kills you.
confrontations either. But maybe you're right. Xander says, "Yeah, well, boy needs a little liquid courage, huh?" Bangs the table and some more drinks are brought. The bartender steps in. Older man. Half elf. You can tell the ears just aren't quite as pointy. Also, he has facial hair, which is unusual for elves. A little goatee that's pointed, and he says, "So the woman of the winding way. I'm surprised you and your party hasn't left already. Seeking your fortunes elsewhere."
Okay, no, never mind. I was about to ask for something out of character, but I actually have it. It's taking a short amount of time to find our next lead.
Huh.
We can't take on just anything at this point in the game.
That's true. You would need something suitably epic. Well, if I hear anything, I'll let you know.
That would be appreciated.
He hands you a drink.
Thank you.
The bottle that he pulls and puts back on the shelf is a little unusual. It doesn't look like any of the other bottles. It has the cover is a raven stomping on a dragon, and out of the dragon's mouth is coming what appears to be wine. And then it says in kind of stylized font beneath that, "Superior Dragon Crush."
Why
I'm
does
gonna-
it sound like a fruit punch?
I'm gonna make my way over to
The wine.
Orc, unless
You head over to the
Wine
orc.
cooler?
No. Yeah,
he ordered the drink.
Yeah, he comes over once you're done talking to Ike and Xander, and he says, "I keep running into you, huh? Still, you've made some good gold off of you. Oh, right, the pockets go to the winner, so you should probably, you know what, I'll get it, you're already sitting down." And he pulls out a pouch and he tosses you a thing of 100 platinum. And he says, "So, here you tell Ludovic there that you're looking for your next location.
Yes.
You know, good luck with that. Think you have any tales you can spare in the meantime? Surely some more interesting things have happened since I last saw you."
Most certainly.
You tell them tales, and you have gained 3 new contacts. The Knight, Ike, the priest
Alex.
of the priest, the dwarven priest of Pelor, Xander Thunderhammer, and the bartender at the Three Lions, Ludovic. So, what were you doing?
Research on the masters.
Research. Let's see, shall we?
The
Oh yeah, you're also researching. So, these are the rules for both of you.
I like how easy it was for Gandalf to go all the way to fucking Gondor to look at a few books and then back to the Shire.
You have
but-
shadow facts. The fastest
No,
horse
I'm
in the
talking
ring.
about when he first rode.
Oh yeah.
From the Shire to when he was Gandalf the Grey.
I guess you just.
How was it? Dude, he went back from the Shire to Gondor in
I thought it took
what,
like a
a
long
week,
time.
Oh.
and it took them
Okay,
all that
so
other
do
time to drop.
research. A character declares the focus of the research a specific person, place, or thing. After a work week, make an intelligence check with a +1 bonus. So you can spend 100 gold to 600 gold to get between a +1 to a +6. This 100 to 600 gold will represent you bribing people, hiring assistants to help you with your work. Additionally, you can choose to spend no extra gold, in which case you just make an intelligence check unmodified.
Why isn't that guy looking at the book?
somebody walked in and studied.
No, he is.
No, he's like pointing at the book, but he's not looking at the book.
Perhaps he's like thinking for a moment.
Maybe.
Additionally, the library you go to is particularly well stocked, so you can make this roll with advantage if you like. How much gold are you spending?
Yeah, he's pointing so he doesn't lose his place.
600. If since I'm pretty sure I
You two entered this library. This library is this town's library.
On fire.
Behind the desk, you go up to the desk and you see a like a bell, but you don't see anyone at the front of the desk. Do either of you hit it? Because you're both there at the same time too.
Oh. Light reading.
Sure.
Do I have to reach up to hit it?
Were you doing research too?
You're both
Yes.
short.
Ting! You hit the top. As you do, you hear, "Just a minute!" And popping out from behind the table is a gnome man, sitting in on a stack of books on a stool. He has thick coke rimmed glasses that cover half his face, and he says, "Yes? What can I help you with?" And he's looking around, trying to find who rung the bell when he sees Thoradin and assumes it must be him. He's actually not looking at you because you're a little below his sight line, so it takes him a second to be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, gentlemen, how can I help you?"
I'm looking for research.
We have books.
Yes, materials. Not necessarily materials. Information on. Tell me. Researches spellbook.
Oh, a particular spell?
Yeah, it's my
Because we have
master.
wizards in town if you're looking for new spells. But if you're looking for a particular, well, who's your master?
Fuck, I forgot.
Wizard,
You had it
wizard.
written down in your Sheikah slate, I think.
It's over there.
Fine, you tell him the name. Mister, I don't want to fucking...
Well, I'm trapped here. If you want.
it's fine, whatever. You tell him the name and he says, "We might have some books about
Same
that."
with my dad's. I was going to go get my dad's, but
Well, whatever.
I tried.
Roll me an intelligence check. Someone hand him a dice, I guess.
Just right there.
16. Okay, I take the 16.
Plus intelligence,
Yeah.
plus 6. While you're doing that, he says, "And you?"
I'm looking on information for afflictions of a sort.
Oh, medical, yes. We have some over here.
27.
27, okay. And how much gold are you spending?
6, and if need be, call up on that contact,
Make
that
a
nurse
D-
that I talked to that one time.
well, you already have advantage, and what that would do is give you advantage on it.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to say you can
If
call it
need
in
to.
and get that plus 6 for free if you like.
Oh, right, it's like a favor.
Yeah.
I'll save and spend the 6.
Okay.
Because that favor can be useful for something else. And what would it be, the roll?
An intelligence check,
Okay.
plus 6. And you have it with advantage because of how well stocked the library is.
Ooh, choices. 11 or 11.
Plus intelligence, plus 6.
Yep. So that is 21.
21 and 27? Okay. So, Thoradin goes looking through books, trying to find information on his master's spellbook. And you don't find information on the spellbook, but what you do find is a bunch of information on your master. Your master, as you already knew, was a very famous wizard. But more than famous, he was notorious among some groups for pissing off certain people. It is said that when he was younger, he was part of a group who spit in the blind one's eye. That's the only thing you find about it at first. Trying to look up more information about spitting in the blind one's eye, it takes you about 4 or 5 days. The blind one could mean any number of things. There are groups that there's a group of blind monks, but after a while, you're pretty sure that's a dead end. It's only after about 4 or 5 days that it occurs to you that you find reference to a cult to the god Vecna. They were a cult of wizards known as the Blind. Now, the Blind were notorious for cutting out their eyes and then practicing a sort of necromancy that allowed them to achieve partial lichdom. This allowed them to function without their eyes or their heart. It made them like half-living mummy people. Sort of an in-between of normal life and lichdom. They didn't have all the power of a lich, but they didn't need to eat or sleep. They didn't have eyes. They couldn't hear. And they also cut out their tongues. With their tongues cut out, they created these special magical spellbooks known as Tomes of the Stilled Tongue. They were made in Vecna's honor. They were said to have all sorts of magic powers, and were going to be sent out by Vecna's followers in order to sow his dark dealings. Your master spat in the blind one's eye, him and his old adventuring party. Managed to kill a lot of these cultists, destroy a number of the books, although it was said that not all of them were destroyed, and destroy their entire temple. The Blindless Temple to the Stilled One is what it was referred to. It was said to be a place for drawing magical energy and some sort of attempt to help Vecna. You're not entirely sure with what. If anything, Vecna is information on them is notoriously difficult to find. Although some people are familiar with Vecna as a god, very few are unfamiliar with exactly what that entails. He is the god of secrets, god of dark and forgotten magics, the god of Lichton. It is said that wizards who are willing to pay the ultimate price to obtain any power worship him readily. Now, your master, following Bakab, the god of knowledge and magic, who feels that all magic should be free and available to anyone, is a bitter, bitter enemy of Vecna. Bakab and Vecna have been at war since basically the beginning of God Wars. Though it usually wasn't open, because again, Vecna isn't like a god in the normal sense. He's more of just like a massive cult, although he has powers of any greater god. But it's, his whole thing is basically one giant secret cult. And it makes sense why people are after your master and after his spellbook. If they're Vecna cultists, it makes sense why they're so hard to find and are willing to take such actions as poisoning and sending undead. So you now know who's after you. Some sort of Vecna cult.
Got a story on that one.
Yeah, you do. So you're looking into this disease, huh? So you find a lead. You don't find the exact information, but okay. So you do find some information. There are plenty of organizations that are willing to use diseases, like created diseases and plagues, to further their goals. Lovitar, the Maiden of Pain, is a goddess of pain and suffering. Her people are definitely all about that. The Zentarum will buy plagues from people and use them against their enemies. So will the Thay. Any unscrupulous lord who's willing to poison a rival city in order to gain power would be willing and wanting something like this.
There needs to be somebody that's willing to test it on goblins and people alike.
So it makes sense that it'd be someone who wanted to see respected. If they didn't give a shit what people thought about them, they probably would have just done it on people. As it is, goblins are more likely to go under the radar. Maybe someone close to the area, because if they really didn't want to be found out, they could have just gone far away. And if they were coming from far away, then why would they restrict it to just goblins? It's probably someone who wants to keep it secretive, who has a reputation that could be damaged. So it occurs to you it could be a lord. If it was Lovitar, they would just do it on the whole city, maximize suffering. This is someone who wants to test something. That being said, it's not the most viable thing in the world. It was deadly, but it took time, and it didn't exactly spread fast. So they might be working on making it better.
Why use it on
Now
somebody
you
who's
know
up and coming alchemist?
that the Thay,
City.
there are a lot of people in Thay who specifically cultivate diseases and poisons. There are necromancers and poisoners. They work together very quickly on death plagues. That is information you do find.
Okay.
Going there could help. That's what you find out.
I'm going to see if the library would be willing to part with some of the Well, the relevant books, like I'd be willing to buy them off of them if
It's going to
possible.
take a persuasion check. Libraries usually don't sell books. Kind of defeats the point.
Fair.
Borrow them and get them copy scribed by somebody else.
Maybe, but you're probably not going to have enough time for that. It takes a while.
So that's charisma. That's 19 base.
Well, for one of the heroes who defeated White Plume Mountain, I suppose we can part with one or two. And he hands them to you. And you're doing religious service, right, Asura? Okay.
If I come back, they will be returned in the same condition once my research is done.
Now, you... Who did you do religious service for last time? How long?
Closest to...
There's a Temple of Pelor here if you want to stack up on the same.
Is there any other
There's
temples?
also a Temple of Bahamut here, which might appeal to you, being the god of good wine dragons.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Bahamut.
Okay, you enter the Temple of Bahamut. Standing before you is a middle-aged dragonborn woman, silver dragonborn. She wears loose-fitting robes. Her eyes kind of stop being glazed over. Her sideways slits go like this for a second, and she focuses on you. And she says, "Hello. You are Asura, one of the heroes who defeated White Plume Mountain, yes?
I am.
I am Okira. It is nice to meet you. I was hoping you would stop by the temple before you left. Bahamut must have given you a great blessing, yes?
Well,
I heard you were a holy knight,
I am.
but you do not serve Bahamut. It is strange.
It is. It's just I'm from a distant land.
Oh, they do not worship Bahamut out there.
Not necessarily.
I understand. His light has not reached all places. Tell me of your god.
Ra. Well, he
I have
is.
not heard of such god.
He is a god of the sun and life. I believe is out of character. I believe is what it
Sounds as
was.
he would have much in common with Bahamut.
That's why I come here
life.
to learn more about Bahamut, seeing as he's fairly close to Ra.
So it would seem.
As
She nods and she says, well, Bahamut was the first of the dragon gods, before Tiamat. He was the god of justice for a time, god of god of metallic dragons and life and war. Just and gentle when he needs to be, vicious with his enemies, although our chromatic brethren deserve no less. He empowers many knights like yourself in the slaying of evil dragons. You've slayed some yourself, yes? I've heard tales.
I have. Recent encounter was what were they called? Just black.
Abishai.
Encountered a couple Abishai.
Abishai? Demons. It is good you put them to the blade.
They weren't the most kindly bunch, no.
Yes, well. There's so much darkness. It's good there are people like us out there, willing to spread the light. But if you come here, I assume you wish to spread a little more before you go?
Indeed.
If I do not presume too much. Alright, well, we can have some use of you. And of course offer our assistance as well. I want you to roll me a persuasion check. You can roll with advantage for all of the good you've done lately.
24.
24. Alright. After spending a couple days helping Okira and the other priests of Bahamut, most of them dragonborn, But some of them, there are a couple elves, a couple humans. Although you get a strange sense of most of them. Roll me insight.
15.
You meet a human woman during your time there. The most beautiful woman you've ever seen. The way she talks, the way she walks. After a couple days, you're pretty sure she's not human. You don't know for certain, but you're pretty sure she's a dragon that shapeshifted.
Do I have time to look into it?
I can say how are you going to look into it, I should ask.
Are you a dragon?
No, I guess I would wait for a
Discretion is key.
moment where I could talk to her alone, whereas if she's hiding for a reason, then I don't give her away.
You catch her alone, you talk to her. She is impressed that you had your suspicions. Most people don't even notice. And she tells you that I have in fact a dragon.
Might I ask why you conceal yourself?
It is good to keep an eye on people who wish to help you, to protect them. But if I were to reveal myself here, our enemies would see it too. Tiamat's children, and they would come and attack us. I am a hidden protector.
It's interesting. Can't say I've
My name is Zornia. As one met, Asura of Astoria. You can roll me an intelligence check, or a history check, if you want to know. You've never heard of Zornia. Although considering you're not from here, it's not that surprising. Zornya. You have also earned 2 favors from the Church of Bahamut. Now, Mr. Carac, you're sneaking up on this Hydra. What'd you get on your stealth check?
17, I believe. Yeah, 17.
Okay.
Don't forget I cast freedom of movement on you.
What does that actually do with him?
You can escape from being grappled with just 5 feet of movement, and it has a reference to.
And
Large terrain, I'm guessing?
yes, you're unaffected. He's that anyway.
Oh, right, ranger.
But
You can't
spells and other magical effects can either reduce.
So you got a 17?
Yeah.
Alright, you managed to successfully sneak up on this Hydra.
I want to stay relatively far away, but because I have sharpshooter, I don't take penalties for being
Right.
far anyway. But I want to be after I shoot it. I want to walk out where it can see me, so that it charges at me. I guess.
So, you caught it by surprise, so make your attacks.
That's surprising.
Because it is surprising attacks on damage.
Can
The
I
first
cast
round of
Hunter's
combat, so I guess that
Mark? Or
you can cast Hunter's Mark.
actually, I'm just gonna cast it.
Okay.
So for the first one I got 22. Yeah. I mean 22 to hit.
22 to hit. Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
24 damage.
Would it change anything if I was wrong about its heads coming off? Because it'll come off anyway if you shoot arrows.
Well, the main reason I wanted to ask is because I love that, which let me switch spells, which, I mean, I guess is kind of metagaming, so I completely understand to say no. And one of the spells I can have prepared is Flame Arrows, which shoots flame arrows. But it is concentration, so I would have to
Well, would you have switched for 20 hours?
If I knew it was hunting, or if I knew it was going to be hunting a hiding, but
Then
if you-
sure.
okay. Alright. I mean, it takes up my concentration, so.
So no,
take-
there's mark.
yeah. So. What did I say before?
22.
Then it's 19.
19?
Yeah. Oh, actually, what am I saying? It's actually still 22 because 20 more has a d6 anyway. And the d6 is also marked.
Okay.
So,
Second attack.
alright. $24 to hit.
That hits.
And 29 damage.
Okay. Second attack.
Has it definitely seen me?
Well, it will in a sec.
Oh,
So, that's your turn.
yeah.
Turn
It's
into a
turn
spider and carry myself on his back.
Its turn comes.
Yeah.
But because he's surprised, he uses his first turn, which means he comes back and lunch.
Would I have heard it make a sound
Yes.
by now? Okay, then I'm running.
Right, you start moving closer. I'll say that's your action. It's to take a dash action until you get close-ish to a park.
No, because it got its turn technically, it just wasn't able to do anything.
Yeah, so you don't have advantage anymore.
Yes.
I should know, with your second arrow, one of its heads was ripped off. Its arrow strikes it. It roars in pain.
22 to hit.
That hits.
22 damage.
Okay.
That's 3. 23 to hit.
That hits.
20 damage.
Okay. 2 more arrows fly out, both flaming. The first one rips a head off, the other one hits in its hide. It roars out in pain, 2 of its heads gone, leaving it with 3 heads. It turns around, having an action. Finally. Now, you can't be full 300 feet away, because there's just not enough space for that. I will say you are about 80 feet away from where it rests in the water. It turns around and begins immediately swimming fast through the water. Its body goes low, so you think the part where it is a little deeper than the area around it, and it begins just straight at you. It gets much closer, but does not quite reach you.
Okay. So, is there an area
But hold on, it's not its turn.
Oh, am I there?
Yes. Spend your turn last turn to get in the range.
Excellent.
You see that there is a hydrant swiftly approaching Carac.
Ain't much I can do about that. Except possibly slow it down. Ice in front of where it's trying to swim.
It's too big, it's just gonna go around it.
Yeah, I mean, he's not hurt yet, so
So you just hold actions, fine.
I'm just gonna chill. Oh, I'll prepare an action for when Carac is hurt to cast Cure Wounds.
Carac, it's your turn again.
Is there a place, is there an area you can move to try to get farther away from it? 'Cause I obviously
You're not
don't
gonna be
know
able to get
Okay.
away from it at this point.
Uh,
I mean, you could run to the left or to the right, but you can just correct course.
yeah. 18 to hit.
Okay. 18 hits.
Oh. 19 damage.
Arrow strikes in.
25 to hit.
Hits.
29 damage.
A third head comes off. This instant. He gets up. His two remaining heads howling in pain. Strikes out at you.
Yeah.
Both of his heads.
This is very sad.
So man,
What's your arm cross?
16.
So the first attacks, its first head comes down on top of you, biting into you for 11. Its second attack is going to hit you, but you're used to fighting creatures being attacked multiple times, and you pull out of the way of the second attack. So you took 11 damage, and you are holding your wounds.
You dead. 12.
So,
As
Caster elves.
you heal Carac, the other head turns at you and snaps at your face as you do so, seemingly frustrated or excited at the thought of more prey. You're not entirely sure. One looks excited, one looks angry.
probably both.
Angry. Hate angry.
We'll say since you held
It
up
is
it's back on its
Always
roll.
angry.
No, it's up in melee with you.
yeah. It can make 2 opportunity attacks by turning away from it.
Yes, it can. A Hydra can make as many opportunity attacks as it has heads, which would be awesome if it had more heads.
If it makes
Yeah.
you feel any better, I was in touch range and I think I will work on that next turn.
It also gets as many attacks as it has heads. I was real disappointed that it only had 2 by the time it got
I don't mind, I have 20 AC.
You know, you still have the flying. So,
Oh yeah, yeah, I'm flying with them.
You
Just
forget
like
about
attacks
that
of
literally.
opportunity. Yeah, I know.
you forget about it literally all the time.
I guess I'll say run and I'll blow the whistle and fly up in the sky. I don't know if it make 2 attacks.
I ain't going nowhere.
Okay, it's making
Fire.
2 attacks.
I didn't
Both of them hit.
Well, yeah.
It deals 22 damage.
Okay.
As both of its hits bite into you and attempt to pull you back to the ground, but it does not manage to.
Okay.
No, for you. Now that you're up away from it, though.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. I just
How high up can you fall?
I wrote it. I do believe it is 60 feet as opposed to the 30.
You're gonna fight 60 feet, fly 60 feet straight up.
Hold on.
Are you flying 60 feet straight up?
How high up would I have to fly to be at this range?
25 feet.
I'll fly 25 feet up, and I'll
You get out
fly
of its reach.
a little bit in the direction away from it.
Okay. Make your attacks.
23 to hit.
23 to hit.
Yeah.
That hits.
24 damage.
Okay.
That's 5 so far, right? Arrows? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. 19 to hit.
That hits.
25 damage.
How do you want to do it?
I'll try to take its head off with the arrow at the very base of its neck, so it's not like a long ass neck that goes like flops down on the ground.
So your last 2 arrows. One strikes into one head, removing it. The other strikes into the other, leaving its 2 long flailing necks to fall to the ground as the creature falls defeated. Definitely shouldn't have let you switch off before there.
Yes.
I
could have
will.
regenerated between those.
Dude, you could have just made it
Nice.
grow too many heads and it would just die.
You have
That takes a long
single-handedly
time.
with the exception of a little bit of healing, slain the Hydra. As you bask in your victory, you hear from behind you the voice of your Celestine companion as he says, well done, both of you.
I didn't do shit.
That's not true.
You supported Carac. The Celestine grow strong together. No matter how little or how much we help, as long as we stand together, we grow strong. Puts his hand on your shoulder. He then moves past and he says, this is from your family. And he pulls out like a bundle, a silk wrap bundle, and he pulls it off. And in his hand is a bow made of bone. The bone
It's
has
a bone!
the bow has carved into the bone what looks to be like stars falling from the sky.
Hmm.
And he hands it over to you.
Literally 2 seconds
And
away
he
of saying that.
says, this bow chooses its wielder. Let's hope it
The
finds
wand
you
chooses
worthy.
the wizard, Mr. Carac.
As you take it in hand, it says to you in Old Elvish, Carac, you are to be my new wielder.
If you'll have me.
Your family has wielded me for generations. Yours shall be no different. You have obtained Shooting Star.
That's a better pun than I ever could have made.
Solid
Anywho, now you are led back to where you came. At the inn, you are met with your night's food. And then, before you turn into bed, you receive a mysterious message that I definitely shouldn't have put beneath all these books.
Well, Squig, it's just you and me now.
Come to Barovia.
Everyone
There's
else is
certainly
talking
tons
about
of
the-
gold here. It's worthwhile. Make sure you see
Oh, Reds!
Sasha to collect it.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys.
Do you think they talk about us while we're asleep?
It's a trick.
Can't they talk about you anyway if they can choose who they're directly speaking to?
So,
Possibly.
Maybe they're always talking behind your back.
It's a nicety to
Probably.
wait until we're asleep.
What if Wave is singing sleep?
show me the way to go.
It's just singing lullabies to everyone.
Yeah, sea shanties. Only sea shanties.
They're
As you
nighttime
turn
ones.
into your rooms at night, you feel your form start to shift, warp, and pop, disappear.
Not again!
The group of you all appear within a shadowy hall with glowing teleportation circles etched into the floor. Before you have time to consider your situation, the image of a female wearing red robes with runes on her face, her bald head going around that glow slightly, appear before you. This woman, for anyone who would like to roll a history check. Anyone proficient in history, I should say.
I'll
Oh,
do it.
Someone give him a dice, he has it.
23.
This is a red wizard, one of the ruling class of the magocracy of Thay.
Mm-hmm.
She speaks. I am Sirana. It is I who brought you here. Welcome to Thay. Many red wizards chafe under the rule of Sazaz's town. Once we were a land of learning and power. Now death scours Thay while the Lich Lord ignores all concerns other than his quest for godhood. If his mad plans are left to run their course, none will be left alive here to worship him. Her image starts to flicker and fade, and at this point you realize she's not actually physically there. She's merely projecting herself magically to you.
Mm.
This is a magic gatehouse, from which I can send you into the Doom Vault, heart of the Lich Lord's domain deep beneath the Thay Mount. The Doom Vault is a secret laboratory and contains secret laboratory and containment structure, beneath which lies a hidden storehouse where the phylacteries of Sazaz's Tans elite liches are held. There, the Lich Lord's powers can be broken, with your aid. I offer you an opportunity to take the fight to the Lich Lord. I offer you the chance to help me see to it that Sazaz Tom's power is broken. The Phylactery Vault is where you can make that happen. What say you?
Sure.
However, before you respond, that is where we're going to stop the session for this week. Next week, she and you will have your answer.
Man, I was sleeping.
I hope you all enjoyed the session.
Why am I here?
I did. I'm Mario Veals. You can find more of me at Lights Camera Initiative, where I speak for some of the people some of the time. You can find more of me on Thursdays on the Tainted Lands of Antimore on the Tainted Lands channel. David, where can people find more of you, and is there anything you want to plug?
I'm Artist David Harper on Instagram and Twitter. I released a small treasure hunting RPG to itch.io. It's available for free if you want to check it out. I also have an animation I'm working on. It's got a Patreon because it's 2019. And I also got a coffee if you just want to throw me a few bucks.
All right. Caitlin, where can people find you? Is there anything you want to plug?
You can find me on the Gobbitses on Twitter. And I'd like to plug my friend. You can find her also on Twitter, Anicola. She's really cool and she does art.
Okay. Anyone else have anything they want to plug before we go?
Nah, I ain't got no plugs. Except around the house.
Cool session.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah. David, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Jeff, say goodbye.
Bye.
Caitlin, say goodbye. Rob, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Ed, say goodbye.
Dick.
Sid, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye!